Welcome back, my culty crime crew, to Cozy Cults and Crimes, where the shadows whisper secrets and the truth is always stranger than fiction. I'm Bubbles, your host, and tonight we're venturing into the heart of darkness that once gripped New York City. A tale of terror that unfolded under the shimmering lights of the disco era. Now, I will say listener discretion is advised for tonight's episode, as it does contain discussions of violence and murder that some of you guys might find a bit disturbing. Now, just try to imagine what New York City was actually like in the 1970s. The Bee Gees are setting the dance floors ablaze with "Staying Alive, Staying Alive." I can't help myself, whenever I even see those words, I have to sing it. John Travolta's white suit from Saturday Night Fever is practically glowing under every disco ball in the city. And young love is blossoming faster than platform shoes can stomp. But beneath the shimmering lights and the infectious rhythm of disco, a sinister shadow is creeping, ready to shatter the illusion of safety. It's a time when the city's streets are stalked by an unseen menace, known only as the .44 caliber killer for his weapon of choice. A time when every shadow holds the potential for danger. A series of seemingly random shootings terrorizes young couples, leaving a trail of bloodshed and fear. But as the year unfolded, cryptic letters started to emerge, some signed by the son of Sam, filled with twisted messages and threats that send shivers down the spines of New Yorkers. Tonight, my culty crime crew, we're venturing into the heart of this darkness to uncover the chilling story of the son of Sam. We'll delve into the twisted mind of David Berkowitz, the man behind the monster, and explore the factors that led him down this dark path. We'll follow the relentless manhunt, the desperate search for answers, and the enduring impact of this terrifying chapter in New York City's history. Trust me, you won't want to miss a detail. My crew, to truly understand the twisted saga of the son of Sam, we need to journey back to the gritty streets of 1970s New York City. It was a city on the brink, a powder keg of economic decline and social unrest, as well as an escalating crime rate. The Bronx burned nightly, flames licking at the crumbling buildings. The subway system, once a lifeline for the city, now became a symbol of its decay. Trains rattled through darkened tunnels, their cars defaced with graffiti, a testament to the lawlessness that gripped the streets. Times Square, once a beacon of hope, now flickered with the neon glow of peep shows and hustlers. Headlines screamed of the city's descent into chaos. The .44 caliber killer stalked the streets, his identity a mystery. Newspapers like the New York Post and the Daily News competed for the most lurid headlines, their front pages splashed with the grisly crime scene photos and sensationalized stories. Television newscasts blared nightly reports of violence and mayhem, their ominous tones echoing through living rooms across the city. Fear was contagious, spreading like wildfire through all 5 boroughs. The summer of 1976 brought a new wave of terror to the already beleaguered city. On the night of July 29th, 2 young women, Donna Luria and Jody Valenti, were sitting in a parked car in the Pelman Bay neighbourhood of the Bronx. Their laughter was abruptly silenced by the sound of gunfire. Donna was killed instantly, while Jody was wounded but miraculously survived. This marked the beginning of a reign of terror that would grip New York City for over a year. The .44 caliber killer, as he was initially known, continued his spree, targeting young couples in parked cars. Each attack left behind a trail of fear and a growing list of victims. Carl De Niro and Rosemary Keenan in October, Donna DeMasi and Joanne Lamino in November, Christine Freund and John Deal in January of 1977, Virginia Voskurishan in March, and Valentina Surani, and Alexander Essor in April. In the spring of 1977, cryptic letters began appearing, taunting the police and the media. Signed the Son of Sam, these chilling messages were filled with dark ramblings, threats, and a perverse sense of pleasure derived from the terror he was inflicting. One letter, sent to the columnist Jimmy Breslin, read in part, quote, "Hello from the gutters of NYC, which are filled with dog manure, vomit, stale wine, urine, and blood." And it finished with, "Yours in murder, Mr. Monster." These letters fueled the media frenzy, turning the Son of Sam into a macabre celebrity and further amplifying the city's fear. The whole city was paralysed. Young women cut their hair short and dyed it blonde, hoping to avoid the killer's attention. Couples stayed home at night, their once vibrant social lives replaced by a sense of dread. The city that never slept, now haunted by the spectre of the Son of Sam. His shadow lurking in every darkened corner, his name whispered in hushed tones on every street corner. The once bustling discotheques and nightclubs saw dwindling crowds, as the fear of becoming the next victim kept people indoors. The city's collective paranoia grew with each passing day, as the Son of Sam's reign of terror continued, unabated. My spooky darlings, as the Son of Sam's reign of terror continued, the pressure on law enforcement intensified. The city was on edge, demanding answers and a swift resolution to the case. The police faced a daunting task, though, to catch a killer who seemed to strike at random, leaving behind very few clues and a trail of very cryptic letters. The investigation was one of the largest manhunts in New York City history. Hundreds of detectives formed a dedicated task force known as the Omega Task Force, working tirelessly to track down the elusive killer. They followed countless leads, interviewed potential witnesses, and analysed every scrap of evidence. Forensic analysis also played a crucial role. Investigators meticulously examined bullet casings and other evidence found at the crime scenes, linking the various attacks to a single perpetrator and identifying the murder weapon as a .44 caliber bulldog revolver, which is where the name 44 caliber killer came from. Now, the public cooperation was unprecedented, with thousands upon thousands of tips pouring in. The media played a significant role too, publicising the case and urging citizens to come forward with any sort of information. Yet, the Son of Sam remained elusive, taunting the police with the cryptic letters and false leads. The city was on high alert, with every shadow a potential hiding place for the killer. Now, the breakthrough actually came from a pretty unexpected source. On the night of July 31st, 1977, the Son of Sam struck for the final time, attacking Stacy Moskowitz and Bobby Violente in their car. But this time, there were witnesses. Cecilia Davis, a woman walking her dog, noticed a man leaving the scene rather quickly and jotted down the license plate of his car. Now, this crucial tip, along with a parking ticket issued to a car parked near a fire hydrant, led the police to the doorstep of David Berkowitz. Another pivotal clue came from a young woman named Wheat Carr. She was the daughter of Berkowitz's neighbour, Sam. Yes, Sam. Wheat had read the Son of Sam letters in the newspaper and was struck by the mention of a demon dog named Harvey. She knew that her father owned a black Labrador named Harvey and that Berkowitz had often complained about the dog's barking. This connection, though seemingly far-fetched at first, did lead her to contact the police. On August 10th, 1977, the police raided Berkowitz's apartment in Yonkers. Inside, they found a chilling arsenal, a .44 caliber bulldog revolver, the same weapon used in the attacks, along with a stash of ammunition and a collection of disturbing letters and diaries. And with that, my crew, the son of Sam had been unmasked. Alright, my spooky sweethearts. The arrest of David Berkowitz marked the end of his reign of terror, but it was just the beginning of a long and complex legal battle. Now, the trial was an absolute media circus, with Berkowitz's bizarre claims and erratic behaviour stealing the spotlight. Picture this, a packed courtroom, the air so thick with tension you could cut it with a knife, and a defendant who oscillated between chilling calmness and these wild-eyed rants about demonic possession, claiming he was following orders from his neighbour's dog Harvey, the one I spoke about earlier. It was a spectacle that both captivated and horrified the public. I feel like any sort of case that has this sort of notoriety is always going to captivate the public. Like, there's just no way for it not to, I think. Now, the question of Berkowitz's sanity was the central issue in the trial. The defence argued he was not guilty by reason of insanity, presenting testimony from psychiatrists who diagnosed him with paranoid schizophrenia. They described his delusions of being controlled by demons and receiving orders from his neighbour's dog Harvey. However, the prosecution countered with their own psychiatric experts, who argued that Berkowitz was aware of his actions and understood the difference between right and wrong. They painted him as a manipulative psychopath who was feigning mental illness to avoid responsibility for his crimes. After weeks of testimony and deliberation, the jury ultimately rejected the insanity defence. On June 12, 1978, Berkowitz was found guilty of 6 counts of murder. During the sentencing phase, the courtroom echoed with the emotional impact statements from the victims' families, their words heavy with grief and anger. Berkowitz was then sentenced to 6 consecutive 25 years to life sentences. Justice Joseph R. Corso, in handing down the sentence, called him, quote, the most vicious killer in the history of New York City. Now, the media frenzy surrounding the trial wasn't all bad. It actually sparked a groundbreaking legal change. New York State, worried that Berkowitz might profit from his crimes later, enacted the Son of Sam law in 1977. This law, the very first of its kind in the United States, prevents criminals from cashing in on their notoriety by requiring that any money earned from books, movies, or other media about their crimes be turned over to the victims or their families, which I think is fantastic. Australia actually hasn't got that in place, but something similar where criminals can't make money off their crimes, which I think's a really good thing, because it's wrong for people who've done bad things to make money off of it. Anyway, my personal opinion, guys. Now, the Son of Sam case left deep wounds in the city that never sleeps. The victims and their families still bear the scars of that terrifying time. The city itself carries the weight of this dark chapter. But it wasn't all doom and gloom. The case also sparked important conversations about mental illness, violence, and media responsibility. It led to increased awareness and calls for better mental health care and early intervention, which is definitely a silver lining in this otherwise tragic story. My true crime aficionados, with the trial behind us now, we're left with a chilling question. What turned David Berkowitz into the Son of Sam? What darkness lurked within the mind of this seemingly ordinary young man? Let's delve into the twisted labyrinth of his psyche and try to make sense of the senseless, really. Now, David Berkowitz was actually born Richard David Falco in 1953. His birth mother, Betty Broder, had a brief affair with a married man and gave him up for adoption shortly after his birth. He was adopted by Nathan and Pearl Berkowitz, a loving couple who raised him in the Bronx. But David's childhood wasn't without its shadows. He felt a deep sense of abandonment and struggled to connect with his adoptive parents. In a later interview, Berkowitz reflected on his childhood, saying, quote, "I always felt like an outsider, like I didn't belong. That feeling of rejection never really went away," end quote. School was also a battleground for David. He was bullied for his appearance and struggled academically. He sought solace in petty theft and arson, setting hundreds of fires throughout the city. His troubled behaviour did continue into adulthood. He drifted from job to job, never finding stability or satisfaction. Dr. David Abrahamson, a psychiatrist who interviewed Berkowitz extensively, noted, quote, "He was a loner, a misfit, who couldn't find his place in the world. He was filled with rage and resentment, and he had a fascination with fire, a symbol of destruction," end quote. In 1971, Berkowitz enlisted in the army, hoping to find a sense of purpose and belonging. But his military experience only deepened his alienation. He struggled to fit in and was eventually discharged. Upon returning to New York, Berkowitz's mental state deteriorated further. He became increasingly isolated and paranoid, convinced he was being tormented by demons. He claimed that his neighbour's black Labrador retriever Harvey, the one that was owned by Sam Carr, was possessed by an ancient demon and was commanding him to kill. This delusional belief fueled his murderous rampage as he sought to silence the voices in his head. In his own words, Berkowitz described the torment, quote, "The demons wouldn't leave me alone. They were constantly whispering in my ear, telling me to do terrible things," end quote. Now, psychiatrists who examined Berkowitz after his arrest offered conflicting diagnoses. Some saw him as a textbook psychopath, a cold-blooded killer who lacked empathy and remorse. Others believed he suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, a severe mental illness that distorted his perception of reality. Dr. Park Dietz, a forensic psychiatrist, stated, quote, "Berkowitz was a master manipulator who used his supposed mental illness to avoid responsibility for his crimes," end quote. However, Dr. Samuel Kaufman, another psychiatrist, argued, quote, "Berkowitz was clearly suffering a severe mental illness that impaired his judgment and led him to commit these horrific acts," end quote. The case of David Berkowitz is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can reside in the human mind. It's a story of a troubled soul who, consumed by his own demons, inflicted unimaginable pain on others. It's a stark reminder of the importance of mental health awareness and the need for early intervention to prevent such tragedies from occurring. My curious cats, David Berkowitz may be locked away, but the story didn't end there. While justice was served, and rightfully so, the question remained: could this monster find redemption? Could the son of Sam transform into something more hopeful? Behind those cold prison walls, a surprising transformation began to take shape. One that would challenge our understanding of redemption and forgiveness. In the early 1980s, Berkowitz experienced a religious awakening. He became a born-again Christian, renouncing his past and embracing a new identity as Son of Hope. He immersed himself in the Bible, finding solace and meaning in its teachings. He even started a prison ministry, counselling fellow inmates and sharing his newfound faith. Berkowitz has expressed deep remorse for his crimes, writing letters to the victims' families and publicly apologising for the pain he caused. In one letter, he wrote, quote, I am deeply sorry for the pain and suffering I have brought upon you. I wish I could undo the damage I have done, but I know that is impossible. All that I can do is ask for your forgiveness and pray that God will bring you peace." End quote. Now, Berkowitz's transformation has been met with very mixed reactions. Some believe his remorse is genuine, while others view it as a ploy to gain favour with the parole board. There's no denying that his actions were horrible and so horrific, but the question of whether he truly has changed remains a subject of debate. Today, Berkowitz remains incarcerated, serving away his life sentence. He has repeatedly declined to request parole, stating that he deserves to be punished for his crimes. He continues to participate in prison ministries and correspond with people seeking spiritual guidance. Whether his transformation is genuine or not, it is clear that David Berkowitz is a complex and enigmatic figure whose story continues to captivate and confound. My lovely listeners, the Son of Sam case left an enduring scar on New York City, a wound that may have healed over time, but whose marks remain visible, even today. It wasn't just the lives lost or the physical injuries, but the psychological and emotional toll that echoed through the city streets. The fear and paranoia that gripped New Yorkers through 1976 and into the summer of 1977 would forever alter the city's psyche. The media, as we discussed earlier, played a significant role in both informing the public and making the fear 10 times worse. The relentless coverage of the Son of Sam attacks turned Berkowitz into a dark and macabre celebrity. His name whispered in hushed tones and plastered across every newsstand. It's a chilling reminder of the power of the media to shape public perception and even create a morbid fascination with violence. And that's still a relevant thing today. And it's made worse nowadays with the invention of social media and having news at the touch of your fingertips. The Son of Sam case didn't end with his arrest and conviction. It continues to haunt our collective memory, inspiring countless books, documentaries, and films. It's a story that continues to fascinate and horrify, a cautionary tale about the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of seeming ordinary lives. But amidst the darkness, there was also a glimmer of hope. The Son of Sam case sparked a nationwide conversation about mental illness and violence prevention. It brought to light the need for greater awareness and understanding of mental health issues, and it highlighted the importance of early intervention in those cases. The tragedy also led to the creation of support groups and resources for victims of violence, offering a lifeline to those who had suffered unimaginable trauma. My spooky squad, the Son of Sam case is a stark reminder of the human capacity for both evil and resilience. It's a story that challenges us to confront the darkness within ourselves and strive for a more compassionate and understanding society. It's a reminder that even in the face of unspeakable tragedy, there is always the possibility of finding healing and hope. Well, my culty crime crew, as these embers of the Son of Sam tale fade away for us, I hope you're left with more than just chills down your spine. The echoes of this case reverberate still today, reminding us of the importance of understanding, compassion, and the relentless pursuit of justice. It's a story that forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about mental illness, violence, and the media's role in shaping our fears, something that is incredibly relevant even in this day and age. It's a story that urges us to question, to learn, and to strive for a world where such tragedies are never repeated. Now, as we prepare to part ways, I want to extend a heartfelt and huge invitation to you guys, my culty crime crew. If there is a crime or a cult story that you're curious about and you feel needs to be told, I invite you to email me at cozy, that's COZY, cozy.cults.crimes@gmail.com, or you can message me on Instagram at cozy.cults.crimes. That's cozy with a Z. Your interests and insights help me shape these episodes, and together I really hope we can continue to uncover the mysteries that lie hidden in the shadows together, because I love doing this. It's so much fun for me. Also, if today's episode has touched you or stirred something up, please take a moment for yourself and practice a bit of self-care. Reach out to a friend or enjoy a warm cup of tea wrapped in your dressing gown. It's my favourite self-care. Honestly though, if you or someone you know needs support, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to someone. For my Australian listeners, you can always call Lifeline Australia 24/7 at 13 11 14, or you can even text them at 0477 13 11 14. They offer confidential crisis support and again are available 24/7. For my international listeners, please reach out to the Samaritans at www.samaritans.org or seek out a similar helpline in your country. Remember, help is always available and you guys are never ever alone. You've got me and your culty crime crew behind you every step of the way. Please don't forget. And with that, thanks for tuning in, my culty crime crew. I'm Bubbles, your host, and I can't wait to welcome you back next week for another journey into the shadowing yet strangely comforting world of cozy cults and crimes. I'll see you soon. Bye!